Now, normally people end these types of podcasts with what's your advice for people coming up. We've been doing that since we started the podcast. What I want to say, what I want to ask now is the craziest not mistake, but the craziest situation, because people don't realize that this job can cost you your life. What's the craziest situation that you guys have been in as a manager? I'll start from myself. So there was a time when we had it was Unilag. So there was a time some people said that Wizkid took their money, so they were duped by a fake Wizkid, right? Even this fake Wizkid story, I'll run on a tangent for a little bit. There was a guy who was personally catching fake Wizkids. Wow. So he got duped once and took it upon himself to look for them. So he will catch them, he will kidnap them, then he will call us and tell us, I found another one. We had to tell him, okay, it's kidnapping that you are doing. Please stop, right? So there was a fake Wizkid, and he took money from 500,000 from some. So at this point, Wizkid was collecting 5 million, and these guys paid 500,000, and they said, we've collected their money, we didn't show. I said, yeah, send me details of the accounts, send me details of the person you paid. They sent details, the name was totally different, all the details were wrong. So I said, all right, this matter dragged, even got to the police. We got threatened by cultists. Everybody was like, don't come here, don't do this. So we had a show, GT Bank called us, I think one of those Mini Cooper activations. And where they were like, we are told ourselves we're not doing schools anymore. So when they called us, we said we're not doing. They now told us the price. Said that. Oh yeah, we'll hire security, let's go. So we went to the show. I went to the show 3 hours early just to walk around the venue, check everywhere. So I started realizing that these boys had infiltrated event security. Right? So they were waiting for us. They were ready. So when I called my guy, I was like, look, the commando we're going to do in this show. So what happened was, I then asked for a different car. Okay. And I told them I needed an SUV. They were like, we'll give you MD's protocol or whatever. They gave me one. I said, that's all I need. The buses, I need them parked on this side. Did the whole recce. Then I started working on my exit plan. Yep. So what we did was, when Wizkid and LAX came in, they drove their car. Then Wiz was driving the Porsche Cayenne. So they drove in, and I said, oh yeah, enter the venue. And I told them to take the car to MRS filling station in Sabo. They should leave the venue and go to MRS. Then I said to prepare the SUV and wait for us. Now, Wizkid finishes the show. Before we go to backstage, I told them to clear the whole place. I mean, it's Wizkid. It was the biggest act, so I could do that. Yep. Said, clear the whole place. I only want my people. So we got in, stood at the back, everywhere cleared. Now, they still have this security, but they didn't know. Now we're running 2 different communication. Yeah. So we finished the show. I dragged Wizkid out. We're going in. So instead of putting Wiz in the SUV, I put one of the GT Bank staff inside, put 2 people around him, and then LAX and Wizkid jumped inside the van, the police van. So this is the police van. Wow. They were inside the van. Smart. There was a police officer here, one in front, and both of them were in the middle. So the car left. So the SUV, the luxury bus, and one security van went towards back gate. If you know that Unilag shop sporting center. Mm-hmm. So they went right towards back gate. Then the police van with Wizkid, just one, went towards the main gate and went out quietly. When they got to Sabo, they called me and said, oh, we are in Sabo. Okay, you guys have a safe trip. Oh, goodbye. See you guys at home. I walked to my car in the parking lot outside, entered my car and drove off. They chased that SUV and I think they said it was damaged. Some people threw things at it, but this is the military level exit planning that we had to do to save our artist's life to work. That was one situation that I was in. I remember someone tweeting at the end of that show, say, Whiskey the escape shot. So I mean, that's one story. Abuchi, do you have a crazy story that you escaped? I know you have plenty, because they might too like Wahala.
I remember, guys. There are too many. Like, I can't point it. Like, there are many. I just feel like it comes with the job.
Yeah.
Like, it comes with the job. Like, sometimes, like, I've been in situations where they'll hold the artist. Then I'll just be like, don't worry, let the artist go, hold me. Like, there have been so many situations. And I was talking to Eloka when the call cut off. And we're just talking about, like, I personally feel like sometimes it's just the grace of God, how we survive a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've been in so many situations. And like, so I know you said we shouldn't talk about what we should do, but I feel like this conversation we're having and just talking about it, this is why I think we need to get to a point where we should be able to pitch for health insurance.
Yeah.
It's a package. Maybe let's say, okay, if Alex is estimated to make like 50 million a year, which he makes. We should be a provider that says, okay, I make 2% on it. And this is like the premium. And I feel like when you look at those people that create the system, this is how they create the system.
Yeah.
And because we can show record in and out, then the institution becomes bankable. So like all the stories, like we're laughing about it, but it's serious.
Seriously, like I wasn't laughing that day.
Like I've seen where people got stabbed because you shared money. Somebody didn't get money. You stabbed somebody. Yeah. Then you have to come out. The money they gave them, they use it for treatment. Like I've seen all sorts of. But I'm like, this is the time we need to start like having the conversation. And just even with this, like people don't know, like Alex have an agency, I run an agency. And I think like last year, December, no, a year before, we had so many activations where cash trapped. Alex had to borrow me money to activate some activation. So I'm saying like, that's the level of friendship we are in.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, that's the level we need to get to for the industry to grow. And just keep on going. And then the more we get in, then we start, like, for example, now this, like you describing this whole security, that should be like a job.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that consult on security, like I do this with the team. I have somebody in the team, like before an artist goes, the artist is big, they talk about, okay, this is the exit plan. This is how the artist shows up. Because these are the goodwill you build. If you do it and you're successful, client is happy with you, your artist is happy with you, then like those are the little things that differentiate you with the normal different managers. And just so there's one that is on my head that I stick. I remember we went to Johannesburg and this is a fellow artist. Said we should come for a show. And we showed up. They gave me ticket. I confirmed this ticket is business class, go come. I sent to the agent confirmed business class, go come. Show finished. And I think Emma was supposed to do a hangout for Fashola the next day. We're coming. We're so close. Only for us to show up at the airport. And we're checking in and they said it was economy class. So economic ticket. But I was like, okay, business class, I think is C on it. But it says C. But the people say, yeah, it was business class, but the guys went and downgraded. They didn't pay for it.
Wow.
So I was at the airport. Emma just looked at me and said, I'm not flying. And he was laughing. But when he started laughing, you know he's about to change it. And we have a hangout in the morning with Fashola, which is like 6 hours to the time. And this is the only flight. And the flight to business class. Brother Bego. Like, then we entered the flight. Then the seats they got for us was we sat next to each other at the back, close to the toilet. Jeez. So you could see that 6 hours of I go fuck this boy up. But for me, the next day, like I had to apologize but so I'm just like, these are the things you face. Because how can a fellow artist do that to you?
Yeah.
And the show was packed. The show was sold out. But like I'm just thinking like the extent of the person to go and edit a ticket that says this is the class, they changed it. And the flight people were showing us, this person changed it. So it's just like,
wow.
This job. He had.
Wow. Is Eloka still with us?
I think his camera is off. Okay.
Ah, okay. We wanted to hear your story. Oh.
There's so many stories. So many stories. In fact, there are even some stories that I and Alex were part of. Like just by the sheer, relationship between Olamide and Fino.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of them. A bunch of them. Um, but I'll say one I can really remember is when we had, I think it was the Fino Fest concert in I think 16 or 2017, where we had about 60,000 people in the stadium in Enugu. And the crash barriers front of stage collapsed. And Alex pretty much was a shield. Alex was like Superman in that show. Alex was like this. Because the only thing stopping the people, that's the fans, from jumping
Yeah.
on the stage, I shit you not, was Alex. He came in from like this, right in
Wow.
front of the stage. I'll never forget that day. And I was at different sides trying to put out different fires to make sure the show goes on. But I'll tell you, that day I was really scared for my life because we had 60,000 people. At least 55,000 of them were, I won't say touts, but 55,000 of them were hungry fans that if you let them, they would pretty much drag the artists and tear them apart. Emma was on that show, if I remember correct. And we had 60,000 people and the crash barriers front of the stage collapsed. And we had to find a way to manage that situation. That was...
Like, I just want to say something, like, just to talk about the relationship, like me and Alex have also. I knew Alex was the one doing protocol for that show. Because I trust Alex, I didn't have to show up for the show.
Yeah.
And because of the relationship of Fino, about budget. So I'm just saying, like, again, like, I'm just rehashing about the partnership.
Yeah.
That we could always strive. Like, I didn't go for the show because I knew Alex was the one coordinating it. And I know that if there's a show here and Olamide is around or any other artist, Alex could trust me to do the same thing. So I'm just saying, like, for us, there's an ecosystem that we've built around trust.
Yeah.
A lot of work. And I'm just saying, like, for us to get to that next level, we need to do that more and solidify it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fantastic. Alex.
Look, are you done?
Oh, yes, I'm done.
Sorry, I Scott Eloka shot. I think he wasn't done.
Or is there more to it? I can't actually tell the whole story. I can't tell the entire story because we might be here for 2 more hours because believe me, it was an
No, if
experience.
it is too, I think that particular one we can do a whole podcast to just tell the stories.
An entire podcast.
It was an experience, believe me. But I'll just say that day I was scared for not just my life, but the life of the artists, the life of Alex and the managers and people involved. But at the end of the day, everything turned out well. But it was this close to really going crazy. But somehow we managed to make the most of the situation, and the show went on and it ended well. But believe me, it was a very crazy time. Having 60,000 people stare at you and be like, you have to entertain us or we'll go berserk.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well, for me, right, this is a very I don't care what people say, right? My list is longer than yours.
Of course it is.
Because Olamide is considered public property, so you have to first understand that the streets say is theirs. So I was always the one they were attacking. That Kilon Share, why are you blocking us from getting to our guy? We own him. It's ours. So definitely the Enugu conversation is definitely on my top 10. Right? It's definitely there, high up on my top 10 because I felt terribly ill after that show. So, but like you said, it's another day's conversation. But Eloka is painting you a picture, but I don't think that anything like that has ever happened in Nigeria. Ever. MI still talks about, every time MI sees me, the first thing he says to me, and this is not an exaggeration, first thing he says to me is, Enugu, your black button. Because I was holding a black button. So I was both bouncer, I was secure, I was everything, right? So, and I was worried for Eloka because Eloka had been coming all the way from doing logistics, and he
Yeah.
was one sorting everything out for Fino.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how he wasn't micromanaging, but how do you get people to come and sort that thing out? And
Yeah.
this is an event that had P Square, had MI, had Olamide, had the biggest names you could think of. So that was huge. But the truth is, in my own case, I have to join because it can't be one.
Mm.
But one of the craziest one is sensitive in terms of material, so I can't say too much. But I'll have you know that it was a rally, and it was in a state, one of the Yoruba states further down, and I can tell you that I still have cuts that keep refreshing. I have wounds on my body that keep refreshing themselves. I don't know why or how that happens. And you people should not laugh at it. But what I'm saying is, there were situations where the names that were in the vehicle that we eventually were able
To find.
to get into. So Eloka is saying 60,000. There were about 100,000 people there that day. So it was. By the time we got into the vehicle that had SSS guys in it and outside it, with people who are very prominent as we speak, high top everywhere, the boys in that stage refused to let the vehicle move. And I'm stating this to you. Before, it took us an hour to get from point A to point B, and I'm talking point A to point B not being more than 2 kilometers. Right? So it took us an hour to move through people and get to, and these people are trying, they're dragging agbadas, they're dragging shirts, and everything they are saying is Olamide Fuwalo. So it continued that way until we were able to get into the vehicle. Got into the vehicle and they refused to let the vehicle move. They said, okay, you know what? He has to just greet them. They have to open the door of the vehicle and greet them before he can go. It's never taken us 2 hours to leave a venue. It took us 2 hours to leave that venue. Right? It took us 2 hours. Now, the second one, which I'm trying to relate to, it was a video shoot in Ogun State. Who knows the song Omabule Showo? Right? So I say it because it is the most stressful video we've ever shot. We're smack in the middle of Ogun State shooting, and they shut down the place. The boys. It was a combination of different people. So the people who claimed to be to the Oniles, the people who own the place, then the people who claim to be from some things that we can't mention. So all the cult boys came and they came in. They didn't come together. So they came and said, "This is our own."
Then the next one showed
This
up.
one came and said, "This is our own." Now my guy is shooting his video. He's there, singing and doing everything, shooting his video, not knowing what was happening. And obviously, I couldn't tell him at first because the first thing to do is try to manage the situation. So we managed the situation for 2 hours while the video was going on. And at some point, when I started doing all the strategizing on how to leave the venue, my brother, the guys just came and said, "You know what? They should just stop the video. That money we're promising them now, we have to give it to them." So one team is saying 1 million, the other is saying 3 million. These people are saying this amount. We got out of the. In fact, at some point they said they were going to carry 2 of us, like take us away.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use the word kidnap, but
It
they
is
said they would
kidnap.
just take us
They
away.
just take you.
You know, so it was traumatic in so many ways.
Yeah.
Because we had females amongst us. We had people who were shooting. You know, it was a harrowing experience, so bad that we couldn't finish the shoot. We had to come back to Lagos and shoot in Magodo to finish the shoot. But you wouldn't notice, obviously, because it was good. Shout out to LA. You know, so for me, by saying this, obviously, I still have stories that will shock you, right? But what I'm saying, what your point is in terms of why you asked this is so that the people who are coming up to want to do this would understand.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for what Abuchi said. I can't lie to you. I've never thought about it that way. And the way he just put it is something that is giving. I just had a eureka moment there.
As in, I was even thinking after we finish recording, I'm like, guys, like between the four of us, we can actually make it happen.
We can make it happen, just the four of us.
That is
and
the
then
truth.
it's a consortium that would be fixed and set up for everybody else to follow.
benefit
So
from.
it's scary how simply put that thing was, but it's so freakishly important.
Yeah.
I've been shot at.
Yeah.
Right? I have been taken. But the truth is also I've been able to manage and put myself in situations where it's almost tantamount to respecting the talent himself.
Yeah.
So they know they can't touch him. All they want is money. So they know that this guy, they can't touch him either.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been able to manage that. But that is because I'm able to speak to them and say, you know what, guys, Duro, they're just... But if you challenge them, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm talking... If I tell you what happened in Europe 3 years ago, it will shock the life out of you. Europe, I'm talking... Vienna, I'm talking Germany. It was madness, and these are Nigerians there. You know, so we can't ignore the importance of the risk. I mean, in this situation, lives, health,
and I think that for most people, why I mentioned, because I knew these stories would come up. That's why I sort of told the story I did to set the pace. When people see artists with bodyguards or with security, the general assumption is within this one they feel like it's essential. Nobody's trying to form for you. None of us here are trying to do a competition of who had the worst situation. It's really it can get that bad.
Olamide didn't use Olamide didn't use a bouncer for 6 years, right? He didn't. I was his bouncer. So I'm just trying to buttress your point. I was his bouncer, and guess why I always refuse to have a bouncer there? Because then he's considered street king. You can't carry somebody who's considered the king of the streets and have bouncers bodyguard him or stay around
and
him.
people, as you said, people will tell you he's our property. Yes, you're telling us I can't greet him.
They will rebel. So it's better they just see him. Oh, okay, he's being protected. So because of that, it made him larger than life. In terms of the looks. So they would. It was a trend at some point where they say, why is that artist taking bouncers? Can't you see that Olamide isn't using a bouncer? But eventually, because of how things tended to move, there are situations where you would need the bouncer not to sort of impose or oppress anybody, but to ascertain refrains that can occur from random.
Fantastic. I mean, just to cap this up, and I needed that story to go because when you're creating a plan, which is what we started with, there are multiple things to think about, from the branding to the audience to your marketing down to security. It's stuff that you need, even if you don't need it now. It's stuff you prepare your mind for. Just a short story. Let me end because our stories got quite dark really quickly. So just to lighten things up a little, I'll tell you guys the last story I had. So Wizkid and I were going for celebration.
Okay.
And so his car was parked at the back, the other gate, and we're going out. So normally when we're going out, we separate cash. So I break the money here. So when he needs to throw, so people can leave, I don't pull all out, because if you pull it out, they will rush you.
Yep.
So what I did was I just pulled out cash, gave Wiz. So Wiz is out the window, he's throwing it to this side, the open space, we reverse a little, throw it again, we reverse, until he was able to leave. So now this is me that I've been giving money. There was a set of touts that were just looking at me. So Wizkid has left. Now it's my turn to go.
Yeah.
I'm walking out quietly. I parked away from the venue. As one guy just stopped me. He said, Oga, manager. She how fun. Just listen, are you the control things? They give money. We're our own. And I said, money don't finish. The guy said, if I spoil this your fine face. He said, if I spoil this your fine face. So I told him, I say all of una go do, una go finish for here, go Ikoyi, go VI, go enjoy, go Lekki, una leave us here. You know they go anywhere today. So so I started begging the guy. I said, look, okay, see. He said, give me your phone. I said, see, Baba, make I tell you one thing. maybe I jiggle like picking. So what you they do? So me, I don't go through it many times. You see this phone, I know if he give you, but my wristwatch, they're more expensive than my phone. So I go give you the wristwatch. He said, what's it be the name? I told him. He took it. Well, he said, the leather nice. Oh, nice. The telling guys, oh, nice. Nice guy. So waiting there the phone. I said, now walk. Now walk did the phone. So he was actually nice compared to other people I've met. And so I said to him that, my guy, shall I fit go? He said, you escort him. So I get to my car, I leave. Fast forward to when we were shooting Jai video. I walk into celebration, into the shrine. And then I heard, manager! So I'm looking. So the guy walks up to me. I was like, hey, Alpha, I hope no. So in my mind, I was like, now I have security. So I'm like, what's the issue? So the guy walks up and he goes, manager, you don't remember me? Now you dash me wash.
Oh my goodness.
But I didn't say in my mind, I was like, who dash you?
Dash you.
You collect on the side. Dash. She said, now you dash me. Say, I don't change the leather, but the wash still they work. But I mean, those are the kind of situations. Sometimes it's hilarious and we can laugh about it years later. Of course. But sometimes when you're in that situation, it's not as funny. Guys, I want to thank you so much for making out time. Eloka, I don't spoil your sleeping schedule, but thank you so much. Abuchi, you still owe me a visit.
You know, like I have rights to show up for the next one because I mean the other one is not in person. So I can enter podcast. Wow. That one was podcast. I did in person.
Okay, no wahala. We dey wait you. Alex, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for making our time. You guys, share this, call your friends, watch it together, share it to them to watch again. Let's get the numbers up. Subscribe and please, whatever you do, learn about what it is you are doing before you jump into it. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.